Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the show. Great to be here with you today on this Training Thursday edition of the Cabral Concept. We are taking a few weeks away from our interviews to be able to get back to some of our different topics, such as the Training Thursdays, which are so important to me to make sure I do keep up with those, hopefully around once per month. And then I know next week we have a really important one on the brain, I believe, coming out as well. So stay tuned for those. Of course, I love being able to do the conversations with Cabral, but every once in a while, we need to make sure that we're still bringing in our exercise part of the de-stress protocol. So today, I really want to give you, hopefully, what will be an eye-opener for many people as to I believe, the true number one reason why you need to be exercising. Not should be exercising, not, oh, it would be nice to exercise, or I need to exercise to get in better shape. No, it has nothing really to do with that. So what we're going to go over today is a different part of exercise that's really overlooked, especially as we start to get older. And I want to just try to paint the picture for you. So a lot of times as kids, I know I played a lot of video games when I was younger, but I also spent a lot of time outside. We're talking about 3-4 hours a day for play, most likely. So definitely in school, you got a little time in the playground before school, lunchtime, recess, whatever it was. And then after school, as you start to get older, you go in high school, a lot of people are playing sports. That's at least an hour or so after school. You're typically more active. You're definitely active usually on the weekends because you're out with friends and maybe you're playing sports then as well, but typically more active through high school as well. And, again, I just look at my two daughters and we're taking them to after school activities, whether it be dance or soccer or something like that. And so, they're definitely active kids. And then in the summertime, they're playing for 8 hours a day, outside or just around, they're not just kind of sitting down. And I know, again, a lot more kids today are on video games or playing video games on their computer, et cetera. And that's okay, but it does matter in the long run. And that's why I want to, again, paint this picture for you. So then we typically get to college. And in college, I was definitely active, meaning that I woke up, I had to walk to the cafeteria to get my breakfast. I walked to my classes, right? So in between classes, every 45 minutes to an hour, you're up, you're moving to the next classroom, walk back to the cafeteria to have my lunch. After my classes were done in the afternoon, I would go to the gym. Sometimes I played some intramural-based sports. And then after that, I would walk back, of course, for dinner and hang out with my friends, whatever it might be. On the weekends, we were pretty active as well. So not as active, I would say, as high school, maybe about the same or just a little bit less. I started going to the gym more and playing less actual sports. One is because my body could no longer keep up with exercise due to the different diseases I was suffering from. But I was able to go to the gym, which was definitely life-saving for me. There's no doubt about it. So after college, though, we typically get our first job. And for me, right away out of college, I had two different jobs. So I was basically sitting at a desk job in a cubicle all day, not what I personally love to be doing. And at night, I would work in a gym. So, a lot of hours. The gym, though, definitely kept me active. But for a lot of people, once you graduate from undergrad, excuse me, and even if you go into graduate school or you go off to your job, a lot of times, for I would say 9 out of 10 people, you're seated at that job for the most part, or you're seated behind a computer. So you start to become less physically active. It's really the biggest turning point, I think, in most people's lives is just the physical inactivity. It can happen in college. I've seen it. There's no doubt about it, right? The freshman 15 for a lot of people is real. That has probably more to do with alcohol and processed food, but for sure that's real. But also this physical activity, inactivity. In high school, you might have been playing sports, and in college, to play a college sport, you have to be pretty much a true athlete in that sport, and you had to have made it to that level, and that's maybe 1%, right? That's a very small group of people. But when we go off to our job, unless you're working physical, actual labor, for the most part, you're just not as physically active. Now, I know there are jobs where you're walking around more, and that's great. But what I typically see is that it's a very slow, gradual decline in the amount of physical movement we take, which leads to a more sedentary lifestyle. Now, we know that a sedentary lifestyle is pretty much on par with, now it's not on par with smoking, so I don't want to say that, but becoming overweight is on par with being smoking, with smoking, but it does lead to then more weight gain and potentially more inflammation in the body, but it leads to one other thing, and this is really important. As you become less physically active, you no longer have a true relative proxy, is what I call it. Well, a proxy is like a filter or a gateway as to what is hard on the body any longer. So let me take just one step back from this. So when you're playing sports and you're practicing and you're training, it's like an hour to 2 hours a day. So your body's physically active. Your coach is telling you to run sprints or drills or whatever it might be, okay? And that's hard. You know, it's hard. Your body has to go through it, but your body made it through. And it did just fine. And as a result, it actually recovered and it got stronger and better used to that. So that the next workout, you could do a little bit more. So I am someone that loves sports. And when I see a lot of athletes come into spring training for baseball or football or whatever it might be, they might not be in their best shape. They're not in baseball shape or they're not in American football shape. And what happens is it takes them a good 4 to 6 weeks to get into that type of shape. Now, how do they get into that shape? Well, their body works out. It was really hard. It says, wow, we have to keep doing this. Okay, let's recover and be stronger. That's what your body does. It will produce more mitochondria inside of your cells. It will add more muscle tissue as needed to be able to carry a heavier load, right? Lift more weight, whatever it might be. Your lungs, your heart and lungs will increase in cardiovascular-based capacity, along with the other tissue of your body. So all of these things matter. And that's what happens when you stay physically active. But as you start to, graduate and, maybe you're in your 20s and you're still doing some weight workouts, which is good, but then you're sitting the rest of the day, you're still staying pretty active, which is great. But then all of a sudden you might get injured or maybe you get a cold and you kind of let your workouts go for a month or two. It's that much harder then to get back into it. It's not that you can't, your body just starts to get out of shape a little bit. Lose some muscle mass. The weights aren't as easy to move. When you get back into it, you're a little bit more sore, right? Takes a little longer to recover. You have a little bit more inflammation. We call this becoming a little bit more exercise intolerance. Now, of course, they use exercise intolerance as like a disease. It's not. For someone like me that had Addisons disease or other people with myalgic encephalomyelitis or POTS, exercise is very difficult. You have to be really careful with it. You have to work with a specific integrative health practitioner that could take you through a graduated exercise program to very slowly build your body up. If not, it actually makes you more sick. But that's for people with, real serious health-based issues. But for the rest of us, if you don't work out for a while, you actually just become deconditioned. And I want to bring you back to that little relative proxy that then what happens is you actually start to feel more fatigue in life in general. So over the years, when you start to get to your later 30s, early 40s, right, and beyond, people are like, oh, well, this is what happens when you get old. Well, you have to be careful with that because what's happened is that not the chronological aging, because I can show you private clients of mine into their 70s and early 80s that are athletes. I mean, these people ski, they play tennis, they play golf, they do sprints. I mean, they're athletic and they're okay. I mean, they literally biologically, they aren't the same 70-something-year-olds as other 70-something-year-olds counterparts. And again, I'm making generalizations, of course. Again, they're just generalizations. But most 70-somethings I know can't run sprints. Maybe you know a lot of 70-year-olds that do. It's just not the world that I see around me. But again, we all live in our own reality. I have a lot of data on working with a lot of people. I don't see it. I don't see a lot of 70-year-olds that are able to still stay and be athletic. However, they have the opportunity to, okay? This is really important. This is where I'm going with that. But for the 70-year-olds that are doing the skiing, the golfing, they're staying athletic, they're going to the gym, their bodies now know those are the hard things. So running around with their grandkids or running around with your own kids at, in your 40s or so, or being able to walk 10,000 steps, your daily human movement, or pick up and clean the house and all those things, they're not tiring anymore. So why are they tiring for your average individual that, like, you know, they're tired at the end of the day? They're tired from doing, and I'm not saying household chores aren't a lot of work. They are, but they just shouldn't be exhausting to the human body. I'm not saying that 10,000 steps isn't about 110 minutes of walking throughout the day. It is. I mean, you're doing it, no doubt about it. Or running around your kids, like, again, like it's work, right? But it should not be exhausting, is what I'm saying. But I know a lot of people that are exhausted by the end of the day. And I want to share with you why. It's because there is nothing else in life that is harder than that. Think about it. When a baseball player warms up a lot of time, they're swinging with a weighted bat. When an athlete is working out, they sometimes wear a weighted vest. Why? So when you take the weight off the bat and you swing faster because it feels lighter. It's easy. When you take the weighted vest off and you're getting ready to do your own sprints, your own competition, your own whatever, it's easier because you weigh 20 to 40 pounds less because you took that vest off, right? So if you are exhausted by the end of the day, you need to make sure you are doing something that is harder than your typical daily average day to make sure that that average day now then is easy. And what is that? The easiest thing to do is a 30-minute to 40-minute workout maximum workout somewhere between 2 and 4 times a week, okay? If you can do 5, great. But if you can only do 2, it's enough. 3 would be perfect, right? So what does that look like? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I know I've stated this before, but I'm not going to stop saying it until we get more people doing it because it's life-changing. It's not nice to do. It's literally life-changing because you get back your energy. Now, when I had Addisons disease, which is a lack of cortisol production, myalgic encephalomyelitis, and POTS, I had to do this super gradually, okay? And I have many podcasts on that, so I'll try to link them up. We teach this inside of IHP, but you need to gradually work up. But for your average everyday person who does not have a disease-based state, you just start with one set of somewhere around 5 exercises per workout. That's it. You do them as a circuit if you want. That's all you need to do. You can't do less than 1 set, so that's all we do, right? And then you can gradually work up from there. If you can add sprints a couple days a week, how long do sprints take? 30 seconds per sprint. That's really all you need to do. And then rest for 2 minutes or so between each sprint. If you do 3, what is that? 7.5 minutes or so, somewhere around there. You do 4, you're done in 10 minutes. 4 sprints. Great. And so remember, this takes almost no equipment in the beginning. You can just do body weight exercises. But if you do this now, you've done something hard Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. You're letting your body, if you want, recover on those other days. If you can do a little cardio in there, great. But what happens is now your body's used to that hard thing. What does it do? It recovers, builds more mitochondria in the cells as they've started to waste over the years, makes the muscles stronger, better oxygen efficiency, plus it helps you better utilize the food that you're eating because if you work out, your body will improve its protein digestion, its overall glycogen utilization, and you'll be tired by 8 o'clock at night. So then you'll actually get a good night's sleep. Remember, all of these things work together. There's something I wrote about in my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, called the de-stress protocol. Diet, exercise, stress reduction, toxin removal, rest, emotional balance, supplements, success mindset. When you do all of them pretty good, you don't have to be great, pretty good, what happens is you change your life. And exercise is such a big part of it. It doesn't really need to take more than 30 minutes 3 times a week, but it's going to give you back at least 2 more hours, like minimum. You're going to get 2 more hours of lots of energy throughout the day, just by every single day, just by doing a 30-minute workout a couple times a week. So I wanted to bring this to you. Again, really important topic for me to share with you because it's changed my life. I'm never going to stop because I know all the benefits that come along with it. And I just want to share with you. And again, start slow. Honestly, start slow. Start working up to 10,000 steps per day. Then move on to your body weight exercises. And again, we've got many more shows before this in order to teach you how to get into those workouts. So hopefully this was helpful. Of course, if it was helpful, please do feel free to pass it along to anybody else you believe it could serve. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to post them below this video on YouTube or in the comments on our Instagram post for the day. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing day.